Tet Offensive 1968.
It was the year when war came home. In the jungles of Vietnam, armies prepared for a battle the world would never forget. In the cities of America, people watched, not knowing that everything was about to change. When the guns opened fire during Tet, it wasn't just another offensive. It was a message, a storm that would shake faith, politics, and the human heart. From Saigon to Hue, from Washington to Paris, this was the moment when courage met confusion, and every side learned the price of belief. This is not a story of heroes or enemies. It's a story of people, of choices, consequences, and the search for meaning in the chaos of history. Tet 1968, 5 chapters. One truth: war changes nations, but humanity endures. Vietnam, early 1968. The air was filled with the sound of laughter, drums, and firecrackers. Across the country, families were preparing for Tet, the Lunar New Year, a sacred time for peace and reunion. In Saigon, children ran through the streets with paper lanterns. In Hue, incense smoke curled gently above ancient pagodas. Even soldiers along the front lines believed the war would pause, if only for a few precious days. But peace was only an illusion. Beneath the calm surface, a storm was waiting. At midnight, when the final fireworks faded, gunfire erupted across the south. The sound of celebration turned into chaos. Streets once lit by lanterns now burned with explosions. In Saigon, the presidential palace, the radio station, the U.S. embassy, all came under sudden attack. In Hue, ancient walls shook under artillery fire. Families huddled in darkness, not knowing if morning would ever come. Within hours, more than 100 cities, towns, and military bases were under assault. The Tet Offensive had begun. A campaign planned in silence, launched in the most peaceful moment of the Vietnamese year. That night, the line between celebration and destruction disappeared. Because war never spares a single moment of life. The world would soon call this moment Tet 1968, the day peace turned to war. By late 1967, the Vietnam War had reached a deadly stalemate. The United States had deployed more than 500,000 soldiers across South Vietnam. Every day, helicopters thundered above jungles and rice fields. B-52 bombers flattened entire valleys, yet victory never came any closer. American commanders measured progress in numbers. Enemy killed, villages cleared, roads secured. But the war refused to fit into their charts. Every hill taken by day was lost again by night. Every village declared safe would soon return to the shadows of the Viet Cong. In Washington, generals spoke of success. On American television, the truth played out in black and white. Endless fighting, rising casualties, and a nation losing patience. In Hanoi, the leaders of North Vietnam watched closely. They understood something the enemy did not. Wars are not only fought with guns, but with belief, endurance, and shock. The North could not match America's firepower, but it could strike where America was weakest. In the heart, not on the battlefield. To win, they needed one bold move, one strike so sudden, so unexpected, that it would shake the entire world. And so, in secret meetings under the dim lights of Hanoi, a new plan began to take shape. A plan that would soon turn the sacred Tet holiday into a storm no one could predict. In the final months of 1967, a quiet but daring idea began to take shape in Hanoi. If the war could not be won by strength, it would be won by surprise. The plan was called General Offensive and Uprising. Its goal was simple: to strike everywhere all at once, and in one single moment make the enemy believe the war was lost. Soldiers, weapons, and ammunition were secretly moved south along the Ho Chi Minh Trail, through jungles, mountains, and under constant American air attacks. By December, tens of thousands of troops were already hidden near major cities: Saigon, Hue, Da Nang, Can Tho. Then came the perfect cover: Tet, the Lunar New Year. During Tet, both sides had long observed a ceasefire. Soldiers returned home. Families gathered. Even the roar of war seemed to rest for a moment. Hanoi's commanders decided to turn that trust into their greatest weapon. On the night of January 30th, 1968, just as the world prepared to celebrate, coded orders were sent down the chain. Attack everywhere at once. The operation would strike more than 100 towns and cities. From the highlands of the north to the Mekong Delta in the south, every front would ignite, together, in the first hours of the new year. The countdown to the Tet Offensive had begun. Midnight, January 30th, 1968, the first day of the Lunar New Year. Tet Maltun. Across Vietnam, the sky was filled with fireworks, laughter, and the scent of incense. Then in an instant, the fireworks stopped, and the explosions changed. In Saigon, gunfire shattered the silence of the new year. Units of the Viet Cong stormed through the capital, striking at the presidential palace, the radio station, the airport, and even the U.S. embassy. American guards fought fiercely, bullets echoing through the dark streets of the city. For hours, smoke rose over Saigon. The heart of South Vietnam was under siege. Far to the north, in Hue, ancient temples and royal palaces became battlefields. The sound of drums was replaced by artillery shells. Soldiers moved through narrow alleys, house to house, room to room. For 26 days, Hue would burn. In Da Nang, Nha Trang, Can Tho, attacks erupted at the same moment, as if the entire country had caught fire. More than 80,000 soldiers joined the offensive, striking in over 100 towns and cities. It was chaos. It was shock. It was war unleashed at the very hour Vietnam prayed for peace. And for the world watching from afar, this was the night the illusion of victory finally shattered. The morning after the first attacks, the world awoke to chaos. News agencies across the globe reported that Saigon is under siege. On American television, live images from the U.S. Embassy shocked the nation. Smoke rose from the embassy courtyard. U.S. Marines lay motionless behind shattered walls. For the first time, the war that had always seemed distant had reached the very symbol of American power. Across the United States, families watched in silence. If the enemy could strike the embassy in Saigon, then maybe the war was not being won after all. In Washington, officials struggled to explain what had happened. On the front lines, soldiers fought with confusion, unable to tell whether the offensive was a defeat or a disaster. In Hue, journalists walked through burning streets, capturing photographs that would define an era. Temples in ruins, civilians fleeing, and the dead lining the Perfume River. The Tet Offensive had not destroyed the U.S. Army, but it had destroyed something far more powerful: America's belief in victory. From that moment on, no one, not even the president, could convince the world that this war could still be won. When the smoke finally cleared, the echoes of gunfire faded into silence. Cities lay in ruins. Tens of thousands were dead. Soldiers, civilians, fathers, mothers, and children. In Hue, the Perfume River carried both tears and ashes. In Saigon, streets once bright with lanterns were now littered with debris and grief. Tet, the holiday of peace, had become a symbol of pain. The offensive failed to bring the uprising its planners hoped for. Yet it succeeded in something far greater. It changed the course of the entire war. The illusion of American victory was gone. And for the Vietnamese people, North and South alike, Tet 1968 became a memory carved deep into the soul of a nation. A reminder that in war, there are no true winners, only survivors. For those who lived through that night, peace would never feel the same again. Today, as we enjoy freedom, democracy, and peace, let us remember these are not gifts. They are inheritances, bought with the sacrifice of those who came before us. Because war never spares a single moment of life, and peace is the most fragile treasure we must learn to protect. Thank you for respecting history. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and write the bell so you don't miss any battles.